So in January 2024, we left everything that was familiar to us. We packed our entire lives up into a U-Haul. We grabbed our 8-month-old son, and we moved our lives to Chamblee. When I was in high school, I was asked a question by a friend that really made me think. And he simply asked me, like, hey, what's your story? Up until that point, I never really thought about my life in those terms. And it made me kind of ask myself some questions. Like, what is my story? Where did I come from? What am I living for? Why am I here? And then he said something that really kind of changed everything for me. He said, I think it's really cool that God gives us different stories so that he can use us for his glory. And the moment that he said glory, everything shifted inside of me. It was like a door got cracked open and light was kind of finally starting to break through. And that really shifted everything for me. From that moment on, I remember laying down on my floor, on my face, and surrendering my life to Jesus in that moment. And then I got to college and I became passionate about the mission of Jesus. As I was reading the New Testament scriptures, just craving and longing for that kind of life and that kind of impact. And that journey eventually led me to find out about church planting. I knew that meant that I was gonna have to become a pastor. And in order for me to become a pastor, I needed to be trained and I needed to be equipped. And I didn't know where to start or where to go with that. And it was around that time that I met a girl, Katie Buck.
When Blake and I met, we actually met through mutual friends at another church. And then over the course of the next year, we just kind of stayed connected within that circle of friends, but never really constantly communicated with one another.
It was actually on our first date that I remember bringing up church planting. We were just finishing up our date, and I said, hey, I think God's calling me to church planting. I think I want to leverage the rest of my life to plant churches, and I got no idea what that looks like or what that means. But I feel like you should know that on date number one before you decide whether or not you want to go through with this.
And the cool thing about that is the church that I had grown up going to actually planted churches. And so I knew that could be somewhere maybe that he could come along and get connected and they could help him grow in that. And that is actually what happened.
And over the next 2 years, invest our lives there. So in the summer of 2020, I got invited to start this church planting residency at the church that we were at. And in a span of 4 months, we were engaged, I started this residency, and we were married.
And that whole time of his residency, we visited different places, trying to figure out where we wanted to plant a church. The world was our oyster, essentially. We could go wherever we wanted to go. And we really, really fell in love with Boston. I remember we had a conversation on the Boston Harbor on our third trip there that we had taken, where we were, in our minds, this was us verbally agreeing, saying out loud, this is where we were going to go. And if God didn't want that for us, then he was going to have to make it abundantly clear. Otherwise, we were saying yes, this is what we were doing. After we leave Boston and say yes, and we have that conversation, we fly home, and the next day, we find out that I'm pregnant with our first baby. Okay, God, is this you saying that yes, Boston, and it's just gonna build our character and strengthen our faith to go there to a new place we've never been before without our family and first-time parents, or is this you redirecting us to stay home and consider Atlanta? Deciding whether or not to stay in Atlanta was really hard because we wanted to honor the calling, and it almost felt like if staying here would be the easy thing to do because we were pregnant. And then we both realized that no matter what, the call was to plant a church. And so that led us to figuring out that Atlanta was where we wanted to be.
So I went into kind of research mode, and I just remember taking Katie through these different areas of Atlanta, and I just said, hey, all of these fit strategically. Where do you want us to live? Where do you want us to root our lives? Where do you want it to be our home? Where do you want us to raise our family?
And we landed in Chamblee, and this just felt like home. It felt right.
So in January 2024, we left everything that was familiar to us. We packed our entire lives up into a U-Haul. We grabbed our 8-month-old son, and we moved our lives to Chamblee. And since that moment, we've had multiple people who have sensed the same calling from the Lord and the same confirmation, who have also uprooted their lives and moved jobs, left their homes, left their friends in order to come and be part of what God's doing here.
And I'm just excited that the Lord is going to build his church and that the Lord is going to show up in the city, and not just in the city, but even more intimately in people's homes and people's lives and people's hearts, and transform them like he does.
We believe everybody's been hardwired by God with 3 essential needs. 1, that they need identity, that they need to know who they are, why they exist, what they're made for. 2, they need community. We need deep relationships where we're actually known by people who really do care for us in a way that is sacrificially giving. And then 3, for purpose. Like, we're made to leverage our lives for something that's bigger than ourselves. So why did we pack up our lives last year and move to Chamblee? Well, we came here for you. That we believe Jesus called us here for you. That we believe Jesus has more to offer you, more to offer your family, more to offer your future than what you may have been settling for so far. And so, man, if that's you, we just invite you to come and see, to come and experience the more that Jesus has for you.